As weird as this sounds, this is a $2 trillion bill. We think, and we only say we think because no one's seen the bill. No one has seen it. The scoring is not done from CBO or another group called Joint Tax. We have no score from them. So these are all estimates of what the House thought it was. Then it's gone through radical changes on the Senate side. We hear it has at least, but no one has seen the actual bill on either side of the aisle and no score. So we're all just waiting. Once we actually get the text, then yes, absolutely, it's the right thing to do to be able to force it to be read. They wanted to drop a text that no one has seen on either side of the aisle, begin debate and amending immediately, and try to get it passed before anyone can see it. We're slowing it down, thanks to Ron Johnson for that, to be able to go through the process and say, let's give this thing some daylight and see if that'll have some effect.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. You know, Senator, I know that the minimum wage was dropped from this bill due to reconciliation from the House. Both transit projects were also removed from the bill last night. So what are the key items that Republicans are trying to get changed and focusing on? I know that you mentioned that there is money in there to help Planned Parenthood and abortion.
That's correct. So they specifically add money in to be able to help Planned Parenthood because clearly that's COVID related. Because when you get COVID, the first place you run to is to get an abortion, I guess. And so they're adding money for Planned Parenthood. They've got lots of other pet projects and other loans that they're doing out there that make absolutely no sense on this. But the biggest issue on this that we've asked the question on, this is $2 trillion. Last year we had 5 bills totaling $4 trillion. There is still $1 trillion that is unspent from last year's bills that are still sitting there. Just yesterday, Joe Biden announced that they've got all the vaccines they need and they're ready to go through May to be able to have every adult in America have a vaccine. But they have tens of billions of dollars in additional vaccine money in this bill. And we're asking the question, what is that money for when we already have all the vaccines paid for and they're already on their way? They have tens of billions of dollars for testing, but we still have $17 billion left over from testing money from the previous time. They've added $170 billion for education. To give you a picture of how big that is, a total education budget for the entire federal government for all education nationwide is $67 billion. They say they need $170 billion for COVID, but they still have $68 billion left over from last year's education funding. So they're asking for just enormous amounts of money when last year's is not even unspent, and they can't even show what they would use this money for. So our first question is, before we borrow another dollar from China to be able to add on to what we've already had to do, let's use what we already have out there and to make sure that's spent and spent wisely. And when we're on the backside of COVID, why in the world are they asking for a bill as large as we did a year ago at the front of COVID?